Hello there, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I am so ready to get started on this. And we're going to be finishing up a lot of the highlights, hopefully base everything, and hopefully get this guy tabletop ready by the end of the day. Hopefully. But we know how I am. Anyways, let's get started. But before you do, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. And now we can get going. So for the first highlight, we're going to be working on this purple, and we're going to be using Xeris purple for most of this, and we might even go as much as a third highlight depending on how it's turning out. Alright, there we go. So I think what I'll do is like kind of get a feel just on the bottom. I'm going to kind of go halfway up, and I kind of want to have it spiky in a sense. So I do feel like it's just a little bit too watery. I want a little bit more kind of pull on this. I don't want it to swish. And there's just a little bit too much. There we go. Right? Alright, thankfully that was under the underside and I was able to wipe it away before it created that little like paint ring. Alright, let's get our point back. Alright, so you can kind of, hopefully you can see, there's just a little bit kind of like, looks like some of these highlights are starting to show. I can at least see them, so it might be a bit bright. Yeah. Light might be a bit bright. And when it does dry, it does blend in a little bit, but that's actually kind of a good thing. You can make a really good kind of gradual transition, which is what this one is trying to kind of do. Okay. There seems to be some doggy hair. Telling you, with two doggos, you can't. It's a never-ending battle. Yo, hey, what's up, bro? Hope you're having a fantastic day. So we're just doing our first level of highlights. And I know it might be a little hard to see because of the light. Let me see if I can kind of focus it a little bit better. Actually, I don't know if I can. But you can kind of see about halfway, it's a little bit of a lighter shade of purple. So you'll see a lot better when we're working over here. But what we're doing is we're basically trying to gradually do kind of like a highlight. Well, it is a highlight, but we're kind of wanting to show where the light is kind of reflecting off these edges. Got done with work? Nice. I got off work not too long ago myself. Looks good. What colors are you using? Also, how do you like to choose where to place the highlights to stimulate light? So, let me kind of finish this edge. So, as for terms of colors, for the purples, I'm doing Stylish Purple as the contrast. And then we're using Xerxes Purple and then Demon Light Hide as the starting two highlights. And then for this blue, we're using Talsar Blue contrast. And then we're also planning on using Temple Guard Blue and Barrett Hoff Blue. And I got a little bit of fun ideas with Magroth Flame. So we'll also be adding a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green elsewhere. But for right now, we're just going to be working off of the three primary colors and then adding the accents a little bit later, hopefully near the end of the stream. And hopefully we can actually base, depending on how fast this kind of goes. But in terms of how do I find where to put the light on, a good way of just trying to think is, let's say that you prime, actually this is let me actually get you an example. So I actually believe I have some prepped. My desk, my office is currently a mess, so I'm trying to step over things. But an example is, so you see this guard right here? So what I did was I primed him black, and then I used an airbrush with a white scar, and I sprayed downwards to where the light will actually kind of touch. So if you look right up, you'll see that it, hey, it's just white. But if I were to look down, see how all of a sudden it turns black? that's the shadows. So that's where the light will not reach it. And you can kind of see underneath. So there's your darkness, and then all of a sudden the light dark. By doing this technique with the help of contrast, you can actually more visually replicate shadows, because all these are semi-transparent. You will see the color slightly underneath. So if you were to, so I'm using white, Wraithbone white. If I were to do, let's say, a base color of gray sear, it would be a darker tone. So let me get you another example of the finished product of this. So I used the same technique on this World Eaters, right? And underneath, you can see that you can't, well, I guess it can be a little bit difficult, but you'll see that it's a little bit darker when above it's a little bit brighter. You can, so here, like I sprayed it all white, but inside there's a little bit on the darker side. So you see that red? It's a darker red. Oops. Let me actually kind of zoom in a little bit. So see here, like all this red, it was all used on the same contrast paint. I didn't do anything to it, but you see how this red is a little bit darker than this red? That's by using that black and white shadow technique. I can create more pronounced shadows than just the contrast, which here you can see that there is, oops, sorry, I forgot to zoom out. That you can see, I didn't do that. I just did a normal primer, no fancy stuff, but you can see in here, these crevices, it's a little bit darker because that's where more of this pooled together. So on the top, you see here how it's a little bit lighter compared to like kind of like down here in this crease. That's all because contrast, it's liquidy, it's like water, and you can kind of push it around and get it into these cracks to create those shadows. So that's kind of two ways, and this way I used just normal contrast, but like here you don't have to use contrast for this. You can just use it as a visual aid, going, okay, this helmet is the shiny part, over here is where there's going to be a lot of light, over here is going to be a little bit darker, so I don't have to focus on highlighting. And that's going to be a good way. You could just like set this off to the side and you can kind of visualize it if you still want to use normal paints. So I hope that's a good enough explanation. I know that one could probably have been a little bit long-winded. All right, so let's see, where did I step off? I think I finished all that. Yep, so you have trouble with crevices and such. That's why I'm slowly switching to all contrast. Yes, I kind of had the same problem. So you can go a little bit heavy and you can just kind of push that contrast around. And that really does kind of help you get into those little cracks. The contrast loves finding those little crevices. So here's where we're going to see a little bit more of this purple. So go about halfway up, and I'm just pulling down. Let me get a little bit more paint. I love learning about stuff like that. Awesome. Well, I am glad to be of service. So, brush is a little bit overloaded, but that'll be okay. But we're just gonna kind of, like I said, pull down. And by pulling down, you can kind of create these streaks. So I don't know if you can kind of see how that will produce some of these finer details. See, can I zoom in? Yeah, so you see how there's kind of those that jaggedness from doing all those single downward strokes. And I gotta admit, I'm still getting used to the camera, but I definitely do prefer it over just a little webcam. Being able to just kind of zoom in and then focus a lot better than try to because like the autofocus, while it's fine when you're just trying to do still pictures, when you're kind of doing this up close stuff, it can be a real kind of pain in the butt. Well, not so much doing it as weathered, just kind of more of a kind of like giving it a bit of texture to it, I guess. I'm not big on cameras and such, but a webcam seems like it would be a pain. There's certain strengths, and there's pros and cons to both of them. So one of the pros of a webcam is that they can be relatively cheap, you know, compared to a camera. And if you're just like, let's say you're just doing a gaming, just like, hey, you're playing some video game, and you're just not moving very much, like at most your mouth is moving, then a webcam is perfectly acceptable because it will always kind of stay in focus. But when I'm like moving this around, it's gonna try to catch it. Oh no, you're quite all right. Don't worry about the don't worry about your typing speed. Trust me, I'd rather have a slow typer than nobody, because like so like the thing is that this channel isn't going to be a painting channel forever. So I'm eventually going to be transitioning to battle reports, but highly edited battle reports with live streams, kind of like, hey, I'm painting just the armies to kind of catch up. But it's not going to be a permanent kind of painting stuff. It's going to be the live streams will be painting. But it's so, but still, like, starting off just like I said, brand new. Like I've only been live streaming for a bit, and I came from Twitch, and I was just like, I'm just not feeling this, because I would also have to do, because I also want to grow on YouTube and doing that, and just, yeah, because I didn't want to just, I feel like the people that just kind of upload their live streams from Twitch to YouTube, it's like a little cheap, you know. It's like, oh well, why would I watch a live stream here when I could just go to Twitch? So but I am kind of excited because it's just like I finally have an excuse to buy more Warhammer models, because it's like I now officially have eight armies. They're not all painted, obviously, but I think like I have a fair amount, enough to definitely keep me preoccupied, and I'm never going to kind of get bored, just like, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh well, I just play Space Marines, and I'm just like, and that's all what they do. And don't get me wrong, I love my Space Marines, but just painting nothing but the same kind of model, just different weapon, it got old for me. And I started branching out, and I do have some fun Chaos Knights. I should bring them out, because I'm actually not 100% done with them yet. How I do orcs? Funny enough, same method. I do the same exact thing as this, and I use contrast paint. So, maybe we'll do don't worry. I will be painting plenty of those. So, it's just since the Leviathan box is out now, that's like the hot ticket item, and that's what people want to watch. And I also kind of want to paint it, because while yes, you do need to kind of chase the meta, or chase what's going on, what people want to watch, you still have to have passion for it. So, but so don't worry, we'll definitely get some orcs. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the big guys first, because I'm basically doing 60-second mini battle reports, like one-on-one, like, hey, how does this guy battle against this guy for 10th edition, for because like obviously I basically had the realization of like, look, you can only go so far with streaming on YouTube. I mean, I'm sure you can grow, but it's kind of like YouTube doesn't want that. They want shorts. And I was like, okay, well, shoot, let's just do the HQ stuff first. And I do 60-second battle reports. And then by the time I'm done with that, then I can start working on the other smaller armies. And then I can finally move up to the larger battle reports. So I'm also doing the boarding actions as well. So I got a lot of those kind of painted. I still have to weather them. So we might have to do a stream of that, because basically a friend of mine who's all for helping me play some games and start recording, we're just going to try to do like 4 or 5 boarding patrol games with a bunch of different armies, and then I basically, by the time I'm done editing all those, he's back, and then I'll have more painted. So that's kind of like the game plan in terms of this channel. So I plan on doing a little bit of everything, but everything Warhammer. Alright, so he has a nice little bit of purple on this. And then, like, what I'll do is I'll go over this guy a little bit lighter. And then, if I really want to go a little bit crazy, I can add maybe, not that one. Maybe go Slanesh Gray. Just one extra shade. Just do only very select. But, oops. Like I said, we're trying to... I dropped my paint. we're trying to get this thing pretty much playable tonight, hopefully. And we're only like half an hour in, so you know what? I feel like we're doing pretty good. Right, let me just clean my brush. And now we got to work on these guys, and I'll be honest. When I saw this guy, I couldn't help but think of a balding guy, you know? And he just has these sideburns. He's not ready to just take off and accept he's going full bald, you know? Like some sort of principal Tyranid, just like he still thinks he's hip. So now these guys are actually going to be a little bit on the harder side. So I think I'm going to wait on those and just kind of think where I want to shade them. Because I want to do on this edge, but since it's a rounded edge, it's not as simple as right here. And putting it right here wouldn't make sense either in a sense. Because when the light comes out, it wants to kind of... I guess it could reflect right here, but how all the highlights are going this way, it wouldn't make sense. So it would want to be over on here. Did a series where you took a new player, recorded the process of teaching them how to paint and play. You know, that it would be very, very fun. Problem is trying to get players to physically come out. Because then it's just like, hey, I do kind of plan on doing that, so I do have a friend that would be interested in that. I just wouldn't be able to afford his plane ticket because I spent all that money on models and an AC unit. I had to buy AC for the house. No, I can't unsee. Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm sorry. If I had to see it, you have to too. My phone's buzzing. I'm not popular enough to get text messages. Oh. Let's see. Apparently it was just Discord that I'm in. By the way, if you got Discord, I do have a Discord. If that is something that you are interested in. Let's see. Oh, cool. I would suggest not kind of describing that location. No, so mainly for security reasons, I guess. I'm not ready to. I don't like talking about locations, especially on YouTube, where everybody and their mother can kind of see. Oh, it's no worries. You didn't know. You didn't like it. I'm not worried about it. There's just, you know, you can never be too careful. There's crazy people on the internet. Yeah, I'll just take a mental note and I'll just cut that section out. So don't worry, don't sweat. Okay. So now we can start working on these guys. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of first kind of work from these horns. Let's see now. I'm just gonna go over here. And then see, on a side note, the model was giving me Lovecraft the color out of time vibes. Oh, nice. You know, I really only have a little bit of Lovecraft. I actually have his I went to Barnes and Nobles a while ago and I found his complete collection. It's kind of fun. Like the only one that I really remember finishing reading was the one about the wizard and everybody that all your descendants and everything will die before a certain age. And it's funny because it's this giant curse, and turns out he's just he's just hiding in the basement or something, and then just getting swacked. And I was just I actually laughed pretty hard on that one. But you know what? I will say that Tyranids are definitely Lovecraftian level horrors. Alright, so I think we got all the purple sorted out. So let's kind of give that one a second. You're gonna have to read that one? Yeah, I forget the title of it, but I just remember it's about a wizard that apparently was wronged or something, and he quote unquote puts a curse on this royal family. They're never gonna live past 35 or something. Alright, let me just grab some Coke. Alright, so now I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go right here. But what I had a good idea about doing is basically take some Osterman blue. It's a little bit darker, right? But do a second overcoat. Actually, hold on 1 minute now. It's Ultramarines blue. So you'll see on this model, there's these tendons, and you know, when it's my thought is just hey, when you kind of work a muscle a lot, it gets a denser, and since it's blue, shouldn't that blue be a little bit denser? So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over it with a darker blue to kind of highlight it's working those those areas, those muscles a little bit stronger. So let me kind of grab this brush. So this is just one of those little kind of like, oh, that's a fun touch. I kind of like the big form is pushing more blood to their muscles. Yeah. I mean, it's really up for anybody's interpretation. I mean, we don't know a lot about Tyranids. They can have any form. Like, they adapt so well that they could very well be doing pretty much what. Like, if we think it, they probably have adapted to it. And that's what makes them basically so scary. Alright, so you see how now those are a little bit darker. There's just this little bit right there that we're going to kind of do. That looks about right. Oh. Got these right here. There we go. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And I gotta tell you, I think I'm gonna be streaming more at this time, because like for a month, all I did was stream like basically like 8 p.m. Pacific time, when like everyone's asleep and there was like no views, and you know, just switching really does help. So like I've like the fact that like, oh, I'm actually talking to people, it's, you have no idea how much of a mental boost that is, because when you're like, something that I've experienced was for a long time was like, oh well, when you're streaming to nobody, you feel like you're basically left with your mind. And we all know that that's not a good thing, and it's just like it kind of wears on you, because then you just start over criticizing yourself. So this feels like a pretty decent color, and what we're going to be doing, let's first kind of work on here. Just work on these highlights. Super lame, and I usually asleep by then, and I can feel like it's always better to have company. Yeah. So I mean, I've been like, I've been trying my best to like kind of go to bed at a normal time, but I'm just naturally a night owl, and then it's just like sometimes I could go to sleep at that time, but a lot of times I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. So I gave up, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just at least utilize that time. So, it also helps concentration in a sense. So it's like by being able to say something, and other than, because like you can only say I'm painting blue for an hour so many times, you know. And it's crazy how short time spans have gotten. That like now it's like the average attention span, especially on the internet, it's like 5 seconds. And I've actually seen that with the shorts, because you can see where the interest drops off. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally dropping off at around that 5 seconds. Oh, I forgot to do that purple. Whoops. So, gonna have to go back on that. So I think that's how much I want to do of the blue on that side, on his chest for now. And the arms, like especially right here, I'm actually gonna wait. So I'll work on the legs. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going over these ridges, because that's where the light's going to be touching. Oh yeah, technical issues? Don't worry, I have technical issues so often. I'm surprised I stream as much as I do. Okay. Let's see. So now I'll work on this other half. So the big kind of easy areas to work at when you're doing this is the kind of like these balls, or like kind of like the knuckles are in the arm. Those guys love catching rays of light. Since we're just kind of doing that stippling action, I'm basically doing the same thing. And the biggest thing is just I'm staying out of those crevices, those dark areas, as best as I can. Let's see. Any other spots that I kind of want to highlight? Not right away. At least like up here I do, but I kind of want to try doing something. So pretty much one of the reasons why I want to use red on these talons and stuff is because since I don't really know what Tyranids do, I'm basically painting the things that shoot or hit in red. You know, so I can at least go, oh yeah, there's like 2 red things over here, so that's like 2 attacks, and that will help me learn. There's a crescent moon shape on the top of the lighter color. Do you mind if I see the end result of the stippling? Oh yeah, that's fine. So let me just kind of that. So we're doing like another, oops. So we're going to do another smaller layer. So we're going to go about another halfway of a lighter purple, and then on this blue, so let me focus that one in. So you see here how I'm just doing that same stippling action and just being consistent with the model. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this like magma dross flame, and it's an orange, and I'm thinking about just kind of going all along these edges, kind of just hitting these areas. So I saw how they were like sharp, and I didn't want to just do like another blue on them. I wanted to kind of blend this red talons in. I'm really just kind of almost edge highlighting with this contrast. Oops. I'm doing this wiggling action so I don't have too much, and let me zoom in on that. So you're going to try to follow along. Sounds good, my dude. So yeah, I kind of like that. Kind of have to like it with, can't really go back on it. But I'm glad I didn't just like totally go crazy over it, because that orange really is bright. So this is my first time using it. All right. So I do like how it, like, you see the red and then you see the orange and then it goes in. Oops. It ties in the arm blades. I think so too. By having just, it's not super crazy, but it's just enough to help blend it in. So these, because the red and blue can clash, but I think I got a pretty good color palette on this guy. And just by kind of stippling it, it gets rid of that straight line. Just kind of doing erratic kind of movements with the point. Alright. So I do like how that goes. And now that I know where that orange was going to go, I can go back to that blue. So I didn't know how strong that orange was going to be and how much I wanted to put on it. But now that I do, we can kind of go back and we can go over these raised edges. And then after that, I think that we should kind of finish off these white areas. Oops, I keep banging my microphone.